It's 1 week of Black Friday on ProWrestlingTees.com/616Entertainment. Save 20% on any 616 merchandise of your choosing. If you've been waiting for the right time to pick up a shirt, it doesn't get any better than this. Don't miss out. This video is also brought to you in part by the Patreon producers, without whom content like this would not be possible. Hey Dan, thank you for tuning in to my review of Godfall on the PlayStation 5. Now I want to be on the up and up and super transparent right off the bat, so this is where I tell you that this copy of the game was provided to me by Gearbox just a day or so before launch. If you want to take my words with a grain of salt because of that, that's on you. Now with that out of the way, let's get to the game. First of all, what the hell is Godfall anyway? Godfall is a looter slasher developed by Counterplay Games and published by Gearbox Software. Everybody knows Gearbox, but what have Counterplay brought to the table before this big splash on the PS5? Well, not a whole lot, really. The team is made up of veterans that have worked on titles like Ratchet & Clank, Diablo 3, and many others, but as a unit, their lone release up until Godfall was Duelist, a turn-based tactics game on PC. I'm gonna be honest with you, I had never heard of Duelist, I've never played it, but hey, PC games are not really my area of expertise. And with Duelist sitting pretty with an 82 on Metacritic, it looks like it was pretty damn good, so that's my problem, not theirs. But why am I talking about their past rather than the present? Well, I think you have to look at a developer's body of work when you're anticipating a big game release. All Elite Wrestling just announced their first console game, which has the legendary Ukes attached as the dev team. A team which brought us classics like SmackDown, Shut Your Mouth, and Here Comes the Pain. That's a good sign. We know what they're capable of and have a trust built on the foundation of their prior work. But a major launch title console release from a team with only one game under their belt? I understand why some would be skeptical about Godfall. I mean, I was skeptical too. But when you've got the controller in your hands with this one, let me tell you something. Counterplay Games knows a thing or two about fast-paced, addictive, action-packed gameplay. I'm not going to throw a bunch of big words at you and try to con you into thinking that my opinion on this one is the truth. This is just a review, after all. And in the end, what are reviews? They're just opinions. So let's get right to the point. My opinion is that Godfall is really fucking fun to play. If you've been watching my channel for a long time, you might know this already, but I adore Diablo 3. I also adore Kingdoms of Amalur: Reckoning. They're both in my top 10 of all time. But Diablo and Amalur couldn't really be any more different when you boil it down. Diablo is all about getting better gear. Seeing a legendary item drop is a dopamine rush that is rarely rivaled on the video game front. Amalur is much more gameplay heavy, with its malleable, combo-based action RPG combat. Godfall, to me, is the perfect amalgamation of Diablo and Kingdoms of Amalur. I'm not standing back and holding a button down while my necromancer drains health like in Diablo. I'm getting down and dirty with filthy combos wielding a weapon of my choosing. But I'm also not barely paying attention to my gear like in Kingdoms of Amalur, where, if a cool item drops, it drops. I don't really care. When I take down a badass enemy in Godfall, I have my fingers crossed for a legendary or epic item to drop with the loot, because it's gonna make a massive difference to my build. The gameplay loop, for me, is fantastic. On top of combat encounters out in the wild, there are also chests to open and motherlodes to acquire, both of which can be located by pressing the left button on the D-pad, which triggers your insight. It's pretty much detective mode from the Arkham games, or the listen mode from The Last of Us, but rather than exposing hidden enemies, it exposes treasure and loot in the environment. Trust me, this is addictive. Every time you think you've cleared a level, just tap that left button and you're going to be on your way to something else in no time. It would be very fair if at this point you're going, okay, I get it, Godfall is fun. But what is Godfall about? Is there a story? Am I connected to any of these characters, or am I just hacking and looting the whole time? Yes, there is indeed a storyline. We play as Orin, who is... Okay, you guys know me. I'm super honest with you all the time. I'm probably 15 hours or so into Godfall at the moment that I'm writing this, and the story is so far down on the list of what makes the game cool that I can't even really remember it. If you were to ask me, off the top of my head, Orin is a big-ass tough guy and our brother Macros turned on us. He tried to kill us and he's taken over the whole army so that he can become a god or something. My online research is also telling me that there's a major apocalyptic event that we're trying to prevent by taking down our evil brother, but yeah, I don't give a flying rat's ass about the story in this game. It's not horrible. It's not like it's written super poorly or anything. There's a ton of lore to be found throughout the game if you're interested in learning about the world, but I'm not. Not at all. I want to slash, I want to loot, and I want to level up. If you're a writer from Counterplay watching this, I'm sorry. I feel bad saying this, but I honestly don't care about the story. There's this guy who is like Orin's only friend. He's like the only NPC I've encountered. And this big fucking floating head lady reminds me of Zordon from Power Rangers, and she tells me where to go, but that's about all that's going on. There aren't really any NPCs out in the wild, no one to talk to, no one to give side quests, nothing. And I'm fine with that. Leave me alone. Let me go out and do what I have to do. I don't care about the fucking Last of the Order or whatever you're talking about, I just want to play. I hate to keep coming back to other games, but it is what it is. I play Godfall the same way I play Diablo 3, and that is usually with music or a podcast playing in the background. There's nothing of extreme importance going on here that I need to be listening very closely to every single second of the game. And if you ask me, that's a plus. I can't imagine how many hours I've spent skipping through Diablo dialogue boxes when I wish I was just playing the game. So with me not caring about my character's motivation at all, why do I care about Godfall? It's a fair question, but it loops back around to where I was before, and there's still plenty to cover on the gameplay front. I hadn't previously mentioned that I'm a longsword and greatsword kind of guy. My longsword allows me to get in there, boom boom boom, and get the hell out. Tapping triangle brings out my greatsword to do major damage. Both of these weapons have their own special abilities, combos, and on the meta side, stats, which can be improved through upgrades and enchantments in the hub world. Every chest we open and every enemy we kill drops Electrum, a form of upgrade currency for all of our gear. And when I say gear, I'm not only talking about weapons. We've got rings, charms, pendants, banners, all sorts of shit that beefs up our character and improves their overall performance. I'm a long and greatsword guy, but that doesn't mean you have to be. It doesn't even mean I have to stick to that layout, for that matter. We've got big-ass warhammers, we've got polearms, dual blades. There are dozens of weapon combinations for you to explore and master along your way to the top. I might wake up tomorrow and be in the mood for dual blades. That's fine. I can ditch my longsword without having to worry about how many skill points I've put in a certain area, because Godfall's upgrade grid is not weapon specific. You don't have to be married to any certain style. Switching things up on a dime is totally up to you, Dan. And with the trophy list strongly encouraging a deep use of all weapon types, I'm damn sure gonna do some exploring as I continue to play. Quick edit, while I'm writing the script and continuing to play, I ditched my greatsword for a polearm, and let me tell you, this thing is awesome. See what I mean? You may have noticed these beautiful sets of armor here in the hub world. These are called Valorplates. Each Valorplate has its own unique set of strengths, so unlocking new Valorplates to fit your style of play is another way in which the Godfall experience can be customized to your preference. I love to use the soul burn system. What the hell is soul burn? You'll notice that every weak strike I land on an enemy, a segment of their health bar is outlined in white. Well, when a lethal dose is reached, a strong strike triggers all of those built up soul strikes, bursting my enemy into a million pieces right where he stands. This Valorplate specializes in soul burn, or soul shatter, whatever the hell you want to call it. So this fits my playstyle. But after I triggered the Soul Shatter trophy, I moved on. My new suit has a high chance of inflicting chill on an enemy, which not only does damage, but slows them down. There are 12 Valor plates in the game. I've only shown you a couple of them here. The variety is top notch. I've been listing positive after positive up to this point, but it is time to dig into the things that are not so fantastic about Godfall. I don't have a whole hell of a lot to complain about, but let's jump in nonetheless. The cutscenes that are tied to story-specific missions look fantastic, that's obvious. But the sound quality leaves a bit to be desired. It's odd, because during gameplay, every single strike has weight and impact behind it. But in the cutscenes, you'd really expect that extra oomph. And I actually find there to be almost none in certain moments. Gigantic crashes take place and it sounds like driving over a little bump in the road, rather than a titanic boom. Mick Foley falling off the Hell in a Cell cage through a table isn't nearly as scary in silent GIF form, you know? You need to hear that table explode. I can see potential players being turned off by a lack of deep, engaging storytelling, and that's fair. Some people really want a narrative they can get lost in. Look, I love The Last of Us Part 2 and its gripping, heart-wrenching storyline. Godfall is not that. Not even close. It's pretty much a tool to keep me going from one area to the next, and that's about it. That leaves the gameplay as the driving force behind this one. And if you're not into melee combat and grinding for new loot and levels, this just might not be for you. And that's a decision you're gonna have to make for yourself. On the plus side, before we round this bad boy out, I think it's worth mentioning that there are absolutely no microtransactions in Godfall. None. They're not gonna ask you to buy a goddamn thing. Every single item in the game is earned through gameplay, leveling, and looting. That's a breath of fresh air. And I feel like it should be commended, especially in a field like this, where they easily could have littered this game with purchasable currencies and XP boosters and all that bullshit. They didn't. High five, Counterplay Games. When it comes down to it, your relationship with Godfall will be decided based on whether or not you want to dive into a colorful, beautiful world full of monsters and enemies to defeat in order to constantly improve your character's weapons and armor. If you're looking for gripping side quests given to you inside the world by interesting NPCs, and you want to make heartbreaking decisions that can determine whether your partners live or die, that's not going to happen. If you want to sit in front of your TV crying at the end of an immersive, up and down story of love and hate, that's not going to happen either. This is a gameplay-centric package. Pretty soon, I'm going to play Spider-Man Miles Morales and get lost in that story, and I bet I'm going to love it. I still haven't gotten into Ghost of Tsushima, but when I do, I can't wait to experience that story. But Godfall, to me, is really no different than playing Tony Hawk or Fight Night. I don't want to be bogged down with a ton of shit to listen to or a 10-minute cutscene in every game I play. Sometimes I just want to sit back and play. And that's why I love Godfall, despite its glaring narrative shortcomings. Certain games scratch certain itches, and Godfall has my addictive gameplay needs covered. There you have it, Dan-Dans. That's my review of Godfall on the PlayStation 5. If this sounds like a game that would be right up your alley, there's a good chance that it is. But if this sounds like something you're not really interested in, no problem. Save your $70 for a game that sounds more your style. Either way, I love you, and I will see you next time.